Hello guys and welcome to another funky fun video about what if Call of Dragons for some reason created a more Diablo-esque event game mode within it. Because I'm not gonna lie, as anyone who watches content, I was trying to watch one of Chisgo's videos on Call of Dragons to see about his, verdict on Bertrand and Toha himself. But what was funny is when we click play, we was introduced to this advert. And what we're going to do is actually break down a couple of these because honestly, recently I found 3 different adverts that are very similar to this, and I want to break it down and maybe talk about what if this got added into Call of Dragons. Hello guys, and yes, welcome to today's video. A very funky one, very fun, a little bit more soft on the edge, right? But it's more of a what if these actually came to Call of Dragons, because this advert, as you guys can clearly tell, is nowhere near what the game actually looks like, right? We know the game is a 4x city building game where you're building a city and then you're fighting through. Don't get me wrong, when we're going to start to play this, it really does, or we do hope, the raids kind of felt like you are in this kind of mode that you're watching right now. But it does kind of beg to question, shall I say. Like, even though this is an advert and some people might get upset about how this advert is kind of misrepresenting the game at the moment, what if this actually got added to Call of Dragons? That's kind of the thing, right? What if, instead of like Diablo Immortal, what if Call of Dragons as a side game mode, or somehow implementing it into the maybe campaign and maybe changing the raid direction into more this style of like, an actual event feature that pops up every week? What if you went in and depending on what heroes you had, they had their own special abilities like you can see on screen, and then you're able to kill these, gain loot, and depending on what loot you finish the end of the raid with, and depending if it's, multiplayer or single player, you would be able to obviously then keep getting those rewards and maybe get better rewards for doing so. So what I'm going to do is actually showcase another bit of footage, because this is not the only advertisement that we had. We had a couple of others that includes Gwanwyn and no other than Alwyn also, but it's very similar into this style of Diablo style advert gameplay that Call of Dragons is currently advertising. And welcome to the Gwanwyn section, and the one which is a little bit more funnier in my eyes, because Gwanwyn is rocking this like shield even though she shouldn't, but it will make sense once you actually see this advert play out, because it kind of does play, like I say, like a Diablo Immortal game, but it's kind of like a rogue-like game, because as you saw, the boss dropped basically Greymar's Warhammer that we all know as one of our favorite artifacts of infantry, doing that AoE stun. But what you'll notice here is, look, she was able to change from that shield to whatever this Warhammer is, and then use it as their new weapon in this raid. And I'm just showcasing, like, look, this just is another version of what you could basically entail into that game mode, where it's a Diablo style, game mode that you love, and you're able to, keep going through, but you're able to basically grind this maybe as a PvE content that you and maybe 2 other players that you matchmake with have to try and do this really fun game mode, completely different, but hopefully the hero skills represents those skills in game too. So like this Gwanwyn, she could have the dash, because she does kind of like do that weird dash animation backwards, but I would definitely see some sort of skill where she gets to triple hit as her main like signature ability, right? That's involved with her kit. So let's go to another one, and this is the final one, I promise, of these adverts. But as you can see, honestly, the gameplay side of this animation looks kind of great. And welcome to the final part, yes, Alwyn, and here's the kind of fun part where you get to see like gold chests as well that are in the game, but obviously they don't represent like this. But you see, like, when you're gaining gear in this, like, mode, you have the inventory and you obviously equip it, changing your skills. So this is actually making him summon, as you can see, those different guys. And then later on, what you're going to see is actually him summoning, as you can see, a really cool beast in the raid to help him fight, and then he summons himself as Cyclops. And the cool thing with this, again, gameplay is, even though it's nothing like the actual game, right? We can all agree this is nothing like it. I think, again, it just showcases, look, the Call of Dragons dev team, maybe whoever, you know, is in part, you know, in charge of marketing, has some kind of creative direction. Because I'm not going to lie, this kind of looked really fun. If you was able to do this in game, like I said, through a special event, I think players would love it, because you could basically keep doing these different, you know, flame dragons. There was the Lich King that we saw. You could do, obviously, the Frost Dragon. You could just do whatever you wanted as these really fun bosses. That is maybe like, you know, it takes them maybe 10 to 15 minutes to actually complete a full one of these like little fun game modes. And by doing so, what it allows the player is, if they get better rewards by killing all those units inside, at the end they get like a massive amount of points, right? And then better points you get, better rewards you get for your actual account inside Call of Dragons, right? Because the thing is, like you guys know, if we now come out of dreamland of this really cool kind of like Diablo-esque style game mode and roguelike, this is what Call of Dragons actually looks like, as we guys know, right? And we can see, obviously, I'm dueling at the moment, and it is kind of, you know, a bit more cinematic when you see these infantry fight. But you got to remember, when we look at certain stuff like maybe war zones that are happening, you get range combat that's involved, right, on top of all of the infantry and close range combat, which makes this game really, really, really fun, right? And like I said, the dynamic of the artifacts and all that equipment stuff is kind of true, right? We go into it, we have all of these artifacts, but they don't work the way that game obviously proceeds. And the same as, like, you know, the behemoth raids compared to the advert, this is what the behemoth raids look like in the game. And obviously we've got raid guides if you want to check those out, so you can actually get a good sense of what a raid would look like. But it just showcases, look, again, the devs have the creativity to create something like that. So why not actually try and implement a way of adding that feature in the game? And maybe, you know, it takes you into like a different zone, you know, a different area, because obviously it's going to require a different part of the game engine to work compared to normal. But I think it'd be just interesting, right? I think players would actually like some uniqueness and identity and character to Call of Dragons. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. That was obviously the advertisements that I've been seeing. Obviously there's some more cringe advertisements, but if you really like this type of video, and I'm obviously looking at the comments on this, just give feedback. And if you want me to maybe check out all of the different, you know, adverts and rank them and tell you which ones are actually good, which ones are bad, we can have a little bit of a laugh and we can do that together. So until then, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Until the next video, guys, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.